Did it just quit? Okay, so late night, not late night, but maybe might be a late night. Working on the ADE again. We're in the middle of ripping out the Kanban system and replacing it with something that is completely driven by JSON, and then working on the workflow builder or the workflow editor, I guess. Builder, editor, same thing, same. So if you're unaware, so this is the Kanban for all of the work streams and tasks and the work trees and I don't know, all the other things that start with the word work. For all workspaces inside of a project, this was entirely built for or to handle being based on the database, but now it's being handled slightly different, but it's all being driven off of a JSON file now, as far as what the workflow is. And so we started working on this last time, and this is essentially the visual representation of what the workflow actually is. So things like the architect gives stuff to queued, and then queued goes into in progress, and then it goes builder, tester, QA, and then it's inside this container, which represents a loop. And then once the loops are all done because all the tasks are done, then it goes to reporter, and then reporter sends it to pending, blah 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 blah. So that's what we're in the middle of doing. And then so this is it building the JSON file. This is out of date because so I did some work this morning while I drank my coffee and woke up, and so now we're working on migrating everything from a hard coded workflow over to the real deal. So that's what we're doing. So hopefully everyone's having a good Saturday. Wife is out and about, so I got some alone time with Claude or Codex, I guess, in this case. Next, make the daemon understand the same template overlay split that the preview JSON now shows. Right now, we've shaped the JSON preview, load base template, load optional, merge them into an effective, keep runtime processes data out of both files. Test proving role pool overrides work. So let's go ahead and work on this next slice. Whether it's in this slice or the next slice, we need to make sure that we are adding any additional panels and agents and their roles to the override JSON file as the user does it. So there's the base template, even if they didn't change anything in the engineering template, but then they added a second builder agent for additional parallel work, that should update the override file accordingly. We also need to make sure that the additional agent dropdown gets populated with roles and personas, most likely personas, by the JSON file. That might be a later slice, though. So anyway, that's the plan. That's what we're doing. What we're trying to do, anyway. Ugh. I didn't comb my beard today. Custom template workflow already means a custom full template for a workspace specific override. I'm adding a separate overlay file path instead of overloading that. Yes. So what this is saying is so it's got the workflow JSON file. And so it'd be like custom/engineering workflow. Or I guess a better way it would be like custom marketing workflow. And then there is the override file that gets either appended or read, and it gets all combined together as one. And then so there's but then there's also the workflows that get shipped with the app. So I guess the other important part here is it also has to be based on the workspace ID. So it gets super complicated. You could have one project and then you could have like 2 marketing workspaces, and each marketing workspace could be a different workflow on top of something else. And then it's got like runtime specifics that you've done. I'm trying to I just realized how would I do cross project templates? That comes later. I'll figure that one out. I don't know how I'll do cross project because everything lives in its own project folder, or yeah, its own folder. So it's like your project, and then there's a .ade folder, and then it's got everything that has to do with workflows and agents and all that kind of stuff. But then how would you, if you wanted to have one project and then you just wanted the exact same thing, how would you duplicate that to another project? I don't know. Great question. Great question indeed. Project doesn't have the ADE template JSON copied out, but does have an overlay. The daemon should still apply role pool overrides on top of the built-in. Sure it does. All right. Daemon now understands a workspace overlay. But I think so while I think it's important that we're tracking the workspace ID, I don't know if it needs to be a part of the folder structure, because then that limits the user to having that workflow just for that specific workspace versus firing up a second workspace with the exact same workflow. I think this is going to become even more important whenever we start to do custom workflow templates, and the user wants to be able to select one from something maybe that they used in a different project, which means it's in a different folder all completely. I didn't really want to address this yet, but this actually seems kind of important. I think the workspace ID part should just be saved to the project database so that it knows to recall that, versus it being separated by the workspace ID itself. What's your thoughts and feedback on that? Yeah, on that. Oh Jesus, it didn't. Sometimes I hate this bullshit. Okay. So I didn't want to address this until later, but I don't know if having a folder-based workflow where it's separated by workspace ID is the correct approach, because that means it becomes efficient. It becomes difficult for a user to have two workspaces with the exact same workflow and the same workflow overrides. And then it becomes even more difficult if they want to do a different project with the exact same workflow, which is a much bigger problem, and we can hold off on that, but it's something that we need to take into consideration. I think the workflow needs to just be assigned to the project, and then the workspace ID needs to be able to reference that workflow in the project database on project and workspace runtime. What are your thoughts on that approach? I bet it's going to tell me I'm a genius and I'm totally on the right track. 100%. I agree with you. Let's see. I'm a genius. The workspace ID folder approach is probably okay as a temporary spike, but is not the right durable model. Ship template, ADE engineering template, that's correct. Project workflow, a project-owned workflow instance like engineering custom 1, overrides on top of the ship template. Yes. Workspace assignment in the project DB, yes. Tiki McFace, what's up, man? I'm all right. Wife's out doing wife stuff, so I've got some alone time with my thoughts, which is always dangerous and usually expensive, but we're focused today. Okay, workspace assignment, project DB, workspace runtime state, current panes, current sessions, blah, 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 stay on the workspace session. So instead of yes, well, I don't understand. So this one, doesn't sound right, because why would we need a project folder inside of the .ade folder if that is inside of the project folder? I don't think we need this additional subfolder. How goes it on your end? Good Saturday? Yeah. All right. We probably want it more like this. Then the DB says blah, 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 blah. That gives you the sharing behavior describing two workspaces could reference the exact same workflow. A different project could eventually import copy that workflow as a reusable project. If the user is editing the workflow, like builder has 3 slots by default, that belongs to the project workflow override. If the user is temporarily spawning an extra pane, that may belong to the workspace runtime state. Oh, sakes. Oh. Enjoying some adult soda? Yeah, I only got shitty beer. I've been on the like carnivore / keto diet for like 3 months, and so I allot myself 1 or 2 beers a week. Usually it's Sunday night dinners, because we go out to a brewery where we have a bunch of friends who are the bartenders, so they end up being free. But on my own, so you know. I usually have like what are they? High noons, high lives? Not high lives, high noons, I think. They're like vodka, pre-made vodka things or something. Those are somewhat healthier, quote unquote. So if the user is temporarily spawning an extra pane that may belong to the workspace runtime state unless they explicitly save it into the workflow. So if the user temporarily spawns an extra pane, where does that information get saved? Because that extra pane should reappear on app startup after they added it. So does that not become a part of the custom workflow, or is that like a workspace overflow or overload? Overflow, overload, override. That's the word. I swear I'm not drunk. I've had half of this. That's it. Workflow, or is that like a workspace override oppo? Weirdly into bourbon lately, which is absolutely not the right choice. That can get expensive. I like bourbon and whiskey and all that kind of stuff. I'm usually more on the rye side of things, especially for like old fashions. But I usually find that whiskey drinks are either way too sweet, old fashions, or they are just like completely rip your face off. So I usually stick to like if I'm going out, I'll probably to like dinner or something, I'll probably just get like a vodka or a gin martini, or wine. That makes me super bougie, I know, but is redundant. It's already in the projects. Okay, good. I'm glad we agree there. My wife, on the other hand, she's got bigger balls than me. She loves like peated drinks like that. That's just disgusting. I can't do it. I one time when I was much younger, I went into a bar, like a good bar, like a good cocktail bar that was good friends with the bartender. I have really good friends with bartenders. That's just my MO, I guess. I'm not an alcoholic. And I was just like, Brandon, teach me to like scotch, because I wanted to be sophisticated. Yeah, like $300 later, I was like, I don't think I like scotch. It's gross. I can't do it. Like, even like, this is gonna make me sound like a complete idiot, but like, is Pappy's scotch or is that bourbon? I drank it. I wasn't impressed. I mean, it was good. It was smooth, but it's not me. Okay. Then the project DB points workspaces at one of those workflow IDs on the temporary extra pane question. Saved workflow change only happens when the user explicitly says save, something like make this workflow use 2 builders by default. So if the user temporarily spawns an extra builder pane, it should reappear on app startup because it's saved. That gives us engineering custom 1/workflow, and then in the DB, only add temporary panes persist for that workspace, reappears on start. Save as workflow default updates. Blah, blah, blah. 2 workspaces sharing the same workflow do not automatically share each other's temporary panes. Okay, so okay, that sounds good. Send it. It just says okay. Go. Pretend you're making informed choices. Yeah. Like my choice in database. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I recognize that one. We'll go with that. I'm better at picking out wine than I am hard liquor. That's for sure. My wife and I used to belong to a wine club. Again, makes us sound really bougie. But the place had really good pate, and it was just like, well, if we're gonna come here and drink this much wine, why don't we just join the club, and then we get some knowledge behind what we're actually drinking. So that's helped. No, it hasn't exploded yet. In fact, I haven't done anything with the database yet. It's all that information, as far as at least adding a queued system, is all in a to-do list on the back burner. I'm trying to, what is this, like day 3 of this whole workflow thing, trying to get it correctly out of being hard coded and then into a format that can both be universal but also be visualized and make sense. It's a kind of a hard task. So I did like a whole session this morning where essentially I've added an extra layer, technically 2, but really just an extra 1, to the roles of agents. So essentially right now it's going to be like, this is a builder, but the builder is technically its persona. It's going to be a worker agent with a persona, and in the future it won't be builder. It would be like developer or something, and then this would be an agent, a review and verify agent with a persona for being a tester, and then this is a persona for QA. So then that way they have like, there's only, a handful of like agents or agent types. You need like a worker agent that actually does the work. You need like an agent that can go out and verify that whatever the worker did is correct. And that could be, but then that could work into any work stream. So like a copywriter versus an editor is kind of the same thing as a developer versus QA almost. So we're doing that layering there, and also just making it a bit more universal. So that's the plan anyway. Yeah, the whole getting it unhard coded and into a JSON file, and then being able to make it universal and then make it visual, greatly underestimated the complexities there. Like bigly underestimated. I am very ready to actually start building in this app, getting out of Codex itself. Literally what you just asked. So there's I think what I'm gonna do is I need to get past this workflow piece. Because what I want to do to start the dog fooding process is be able to not use the engineering template. I want to be able to get back to just a simple advisor and builder approach and just have it go back and forth. And then I can take the agent files that I have for the advisor and builder inside of the Codex app from my workflow skill or workflow thing that I built for Claude back in the day. I want to be able to take those and then put them into the system, and then I start working on dog fooding it just in a simple one, because the other part of that is I'm just scared that once I start doing the dog fooding in this, if there's a problem, I don't want to be causing myself more bugs. I don't want to be building in more bugs while I'm trying to solve bugs. So I'm trying to, if I can get it past this state and then I can get it back to a simple workflow, then I think it'll be, then I'll be more comfortable letting this thing actually run. The big step is the workflow, and then I obviously need to do all of the get, ignore, and having it like understand that it is the app, but it needs to build a duplicate app and all that kind of stuff. So I'm getting there. That, and I don't 100% trust the work tree stuff yet. So I need to figure that piece out. Like that piece is in there, but I'd ran my Hermes audit again this morning, and then it found something about the git mutation lock or whatever. So I need to pass that along to Codex and have it review it as well. Yeah, the git work tree. Yeah. Okay, done. I changed the model away from workspace ID overlay folders. Now the durable shape is workflow ID workflow. Workspace DB is template plus workflow. Multiple workspaces can point at the same workflow. Temporary extra panes now still remain workspace UI runtime state. What changed? Added migration. I don't know what that means. I'm just gonna... Okay, that sounds good. What's next? We're just gonna pull one of those, because I don't know what half that stuff meant, because I'm not a coder. We now have the right durable model underneath. Project workflows are reusable. Workspace panes are runtime layout state. Next is to make the app respect the split when users add agents. Parallel clone, you can totally... Yeah, so that's what it does now. So anytime a builder... I guess I need to be more correct, because since I've updated this, anytime a worker agent with and right now persona of a builder enters the loop, so everything gets added to queued once the loop kicks off and it goes into in progress. If I added 5 tasks while the loop was on pause, all 5 tasks get added to a work stream. And think of a work stream like a sprint. And then whenever the loop starts, that work stream sprint creates a branch off of master, main, whatever the parent chunk name is. And then each task then creates a work tree off of that branch. It does its work and then it gets merged back into the work stream branch. And then that artifact of the work tree name gets passed along to testing and QA. And then it goes all the way through. And then a report gets generated. So then we can go in here and we can actually view the report. Oh, that's a failed report. Let me actually find one. So then we get this if you actually wanted to read it. And then that's whenever you get the ability to, you can say merged or merge it, and then that moves it to the done done column. So there's already work trees built into it. And it is 90% verified that it works when you're doing multiple workspaces. So you could be running a loop on workspace 1 and a loop on workspace 2 for completely different things inside of one project. And it's mostly okay. But that's why I need to harden the git mutation lock stuff. That's in that folder. So that's one of the other things that I'm kind of waiting on before I do the dog fooding inside of the app itself. We now have the right durable model underneath. Project workflows are reusable. Workspace panes are runtime layout state. Neat. Keep temporary extra panes. Oh, the next thing is make the respect that split when the user adds agent. So the next concrete implementation slice I'd take is Swift codes to flow decodes. So is the next step actually going to be removing all of the hard-coded workflow and then having the Python script parse through the JSON to build out the workflow at app startup and workspace startup? Yeah, so the isolation is a big piece of it. I'm not 100% like I did a bunch of research on like what are my different options, and it's like there was certain things. It's like, okay, so after you create all the tasks, then do like an agent in the background that goes through there and like sets dependents so that you don't do like multiple overrides. Like, how do we do the actual like merging back? You know, how do we handle all that kind of stuff? And then like there was also an idea of where I could like just do like file lockouts. Like if a task edits a file, that file's locked and you can't do anything. And then there was like combinations of all of those things plus work trees and all that kind of stuff. And I think what I've landed on is kind of like the best of all of the combinations, which means it's probably not the greatest overall, but I think it's probably the most flexible. That might be the better way to say it. Any thoughts about a truly isolated VM container around the entire thing? I imagine the trick there is keeping the state of the containers bound to the local machine hosting it. I think I know what you're getting at, but what are you getting at? I think I know where you're going with this, but I want to make sure before I say. So in that instance, in what you're describing there, I have not considered it, but I don't know why. I don't 100% know why you would do that. Sure, someone has a good reason for it. Um, I will say this though, that I am planning to add the ability for multi-machine. So I guess technically that would fall in the same realms of things. So if you had 5 Mac Minis all loaded up with local agents, local models, you could assign, Mac Mini number 1 to the QA role, and then that machine goes and does its thing, and then it reports back to the host machine. So I don't know why it would necessarily be that different to do it inside of, like, say, a Docker, or even doing it like on a remote server. Because at that point, wouldn't it essentially just be the kind of the same thing as like just SSHing into everything? I haven't. It's been in the architectural plan from day one. The document that I spent like a week on in plan mode, and it's been in there, and so the system knows about it, but there hasn't been any traction on it. That means Python reads, Python build. Okay, sounds great. Go on. I guess so. Whenever you're talking about containing the blast radius, or are you thinking along the lines of like when I'm doing the dog fooding of building the app and then it not screwing up not screwing up the app that I'm working on while I build another copy of the app, and then essentially leapfrogging? Is that what you're kind of getting at when you're saying containing the blast radius? Because it's definitely something that is on my mind. Like, it's definitely one of the biggest hurdles besides coming up with a name for the damn thing. Um, like, um, it's going to be 100% doable, and I think what you're probably talking about is something that I need to take a look at doing. It's more of a I'm extremely ignorant in that area, and it's just trying to wrap my brain about how that actually works. Yep. 2 hardest problems in computer science: naming, cache busting, and off by 1 error. I see what you did there. I'm interested to see how I'm going to do the remote the multi-machine orchestration. I think where I'll probably start is, so right now the system for sure works with Codex and Grok, and it was working with Claude whenever I had my subscription. I need to add Claude back into it and confirm that it is still working. Everything I've been doing along that type of stuff, I've been reminding it to make it as universal as possible. So once I add a Claude subscription back, I need to just get the $20 one just so I have it for testing purposes. Once all this other stuff is done and I test Claude, then I'll probably add in something, Hermes or Olama or something, I'll just get a local model running, still on the same machine, and then go from there. Yeah, because I've been using, what is it? Their portal with the 3.7 flash free, just for doing like, go review the latest branch merges to master and find me 20 code. Go find me 20 bugs or things that I could optimize. I've just been using that model, and so even if it's like a 30% hit rate on actual stuff, I mean, it's free. It was free tokens, you know. What did it say it was going to do? That means it's loading the JSON. Okay. Swift uses the return contract. Add read daemon endpoint. Swift decodes the contract. Replace one hard-coded Swift surface. Start with the add agent dropdown or workflow JSON preview role metadata. Okay, so that's what we'll be testing. I think. Was it you or was it me? I don't have any dropped frames. Oh, okay. Cool. It probably actually helps me that you left and then came back. Probably makes something happy. I don't know. Do it like 7 more times, please. It resolves the workspace actual workflow from this still does not change live workflow behavior. It just creates the contract Swift can read later. So is there anything that I should actually be testing right now, or are we still just doing everything in the back end to prepare for me to test later? I haven't tested this thing in like 5 rounds. I don't there's a lot of, like, what do they call it? Trust fall? I don't know. Mostly back end prep. Okay, good. Launch the app, confirm nothing obvious regressed. Okay. This is gonna load up as Claude. Yeah. I know that's a different bug, but make an MD file that contains the name Tiki McPhee. I did also completely replace the startup logic for all these agents. There was like a 5-second delay between getting these things set up, and now it's like less than 100 milliseconds. That was cool. At least I spelt it right this time. Or accurate. Whether or not it's right or not, I don't know. In QA, it should go to reporter. So, did we regress? Take a look at task 51. It looks like it's stuck in QA and never passed, was never handed off to the reporter role. Just kidding. Take a look at task 51. It looks like everything worked correctly in the workflow. The one thing that I noticed is that after QA finished on the Kanban board, it stayed on QA as the active agent or active role, and it didn't say reporter. It just went from QA straight to pending with a report generated. So we need to make sure that the workflow and the work stream and task cards are updating correctly to show the full progress. It's like a 3 out of 12 prompt. That was garbage. It might not say it because reporter is not a visible agent, but it definitely should because I thought it was broken. Okay, and then if I'll wait for it to come back and then I'll try the merge because it wasn't moving from pending to done earlier. Oh. Tiki McFace is officially canonical. I like it. Gross. Some jazz. Go. I ask about testing because XCUI test I still find to be somewhat beastly, and I wanted to know if you had some sauce around app state verification. I'm going to be completely honest. I have no idea what you just said. Playwright style app verification. I know what that means. I don't necessarily know what it means, but I know I recognize playwright style. No, not really. There you go. That's your answer. Please give me all your money when this launches. You know all the dirty secrets. We'll file this one to the Obsidian for documentation later. Look, in a previous career, all I did was just make really sexy, high converting interfaces, and then I just told the developers, "Hey, go make this a real thing." And then we argued a bunch about certain things and timelines and budgets, and then I blamed the client for asking for it, and then they had to do it anyway. And then we launched it, and it was a great success. That's as far as I went. So an XCUI test like that's I don't know, sounds like a disease. I don't know. It is a legit disease. Okay. Glad we're on the same page then. No, I mean it's good. I was actually where was I? Oh, I was literally thinking about this tonight when I was at the drive-through picking up my Greek dinner. Really good local Greek place. It sounds better than it's better than it sounded when I said drive-through. I was literally thinking about it. I was like, ooh, whenever I actually get this to a shippable state, I can send this to my old boss who owns a new company with a bunch of developers, and they do a whole bunch of stuff with AI. And I just be like, run this with your team and give me your honest feedback. And then I was thinking about how like there were certain things that I don't know anything about, like the security aspect and all that kind of stuff. But because there won't be any connection to any server except for like Claude or Codex or whatever. There's nothing that it's for all intents and purposes. I want this thing to be like Obsidian, where like I don't even want to know how many people I actually have using the app at any given point in time. I mean, maybe I want to. I'll know the information, but like how many active subscriptions there are. If I do subscriptions, maybe it's just a one-time thing. I don't know. But like I don't want there to be any type of like security type stuff that I have to worry about when it comes to that. So I appreciate you bringing it up because it's 100% in my blind spot. Like I won't even like sugarcoat that stuff. about his infinite canvas editor browser thing the other night. Okay, if you said the other morning, then I know who you were talking about, but I don't know who's doing it. Who's doing a thing that streams at night? I checked task 51. What happened? Blah, blah, blah. The card is now pending because workstream is waiting on loop promotion, not because the report failed. Okay, I understand what that means. It fixed the 2 presentation gaps. Projected workflow phase during the report gave a done QA task now projects as workflows reporting while current stage remains the real task stage QA. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know that person. There's another build in public personality, and he's building an infinite canvas type setup. Not really. I wouldn't call it an ADE, other than it's a development environment and there's agents involved, but fix 2 presentation gaps. So this thing here, so the daemon projected workflow phase, presenting it as the workflow phase as reporter with the current stage for the task being QA, that doesn't even sound like that's the correct approach. And I also want to make sure that this should be something that gets read from the JSON file, because that's where the workflow is coming from at this point, or it will be anyway. So I don't want it to be hard coded or anything like that, that it's the reporter, even though it's currently on the QA stage, because in the future, a custom workflow won't be able to have that fixated, because the current stage is not QA. The current stage is the reporter. The reporter is running. That's the workflow stage that it's at. I really let that one go. I just kept talking, kept rambling. I needed to like just cut it off. I blew the scope on my own prompt. If you otherwise manage context well. I don't know if I'm managing context well. This workflow that this dude uses, even whenever he's not enforcing the advisor and builder stuff, he still has full access to a memory system. So mostly knows what I'm talking about. That, and I think the biggest problem is like upvoter. What's up? Sometimes less is more. What's up, man? How's it going? Over on the YouTubes. I feel like you don't have to necessarily worry about context too much whenever you're just doing like all little snippets. If I was like, okay, cool, this looks great, now let's add in a code editor, and then that was my prompt, yeah, that's gonna be shit. That's a shit prompt. But I'm sitting here like, hey, just read the JSON file, don't hard code it. Like, that's a pretty, and the context is because I said so, and because it needs to be universal. Oh, I don't know. Less is more. Less is more. Agents are just text walls themselves. The more words it has from your brain, the more it circles your line of thought. Pretty accurate. What was it? I think it was like right before 4.8 came out. There was like a week where 4.7 was really, really good. Like 4.7 was like the best it ever was. And then like the following week, it kind of went to shit. But instead of it just going to shit, it also became like extremely verbose. Like it was just like, oh, I'm gonna say 17 sentences when I could have just said 3 things. So when I was still using Claude, I actually had a skill where it was just like, explain this like I'm your mom, because I don't understand what the fuck you just said. Brevity is the soul of wit versus Porsche. I like that. I like that a lot. That did you get the? Was it you or Rooney that got comment of the stream last? I think it was you. It was features for feature's sake is something or other. I don't remember exactly what it was. We'll save that one for the X post, for the what did I do today post. Enshittification. Yes, that's what it was. Upvoter, I think since you're new here, this is Tiki McFace. I don't know him, but he's basically a scholar and a poet. He comes up with great shit like enshittification. And he knows more things about databases than I do, which isn't really that impressive, but yeah. Oh, that's not. Well, see, I didn't even know that it's not your own work, like your own words. So just own it. Who cares? Engineering resolves report stage as reporter customer flows. So whenever this thing is fully implemented, will the role tags on the tasks and work streams, will they be displaying the agent role or the persona or the name? Enshittification. I'll have to use it. See, everybody loves it, Tiki. Everybody loves it. It's great stuff. Once you embrace the word, it changes your world. When it's fully implemented, I think the physical tag should display the node label name, not the raw agent role. And so instead of always showing worker or reviewer, yes. So we need to also make the update that whenever the cards should show the task cards should show the label and name, label or name, like front end developer or tone reviewer. The modal, whenever you click on a task or work stream and it shows more information, it needs to still show the name that's attached to the pane, as well as the 3 different levels attached to the agent. Ori Doctoro? I'm going to call him Dr. Wow. Sounds better. Enshittification. Also known as platform decay, is a process in which two-sided online products and services. Brother. This right here. Oh. Yeah. Yep. Nailed it. If you wanted to break it out into 2 words, it's called private equity. They're synonymous. Private equity and enshittification are synonymous. Yeah, I said it. I need to get that. Card decoding is updated, adding the tiny display helper so card or stream text summarizes all the same label. Clip that shit. Clip it. This is what happens when I stream at night. I'm not a morning person. But then the wife gets mad because then I'm not spending time with her. Workflow node label, updating the task, work stream, summaries. This is like such a minute thing that doesn't even matter. That literally nobody will ever see. Pay attention to. Alt. Just I'm dropping in that XCY thing. Before I lose it. Oh boy. If you wanted to break it out into 2 words, it's called private equity. They're synonymous. Private equity and enshittification are synonymous. Yeah, I said it. I hate listening to my own voice. Everybody hates that, but I need to get that. What an idiot. I'm an idiot. Did I actually? Okay, I didn't crack the screen. That's good. Okay, can we just get to a point where I can... and start merging some of this and we can move on with our lives and do something cooler, like a to-do list? What the fuck did I just do? I don't know that action. I don't know what that was. I have no idea how I did that. Focus tests are clean. Going to run the broader regression set now. Should be close. I would think we're close on this workflow thing. One quick def read. All right. Cards now display the workflow label, blah, 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 blah. Task work stream modal now keeps the richer breakdown visible. Workflow stage, node name, label role, persona, main name when available. Jesus Christ. And the raw task stage. There's going to be like 47 things in this modal. I don't see half of this stuff. I see the panel name. Maybe because this was... It might not be because we're not actually implementing it yet. Okay, that's probably it. Okay, let's keep going. Big modals might mean master detail design might be nice. Yeah, I've got an idea of how I want to do the detail modals. I think so. Right now, whenever you get a notification, it basically is just saying, "Hey, here's your report," or if something failed. Those are the only two things. There's a loop report, and then there's a work stream report, depending on if it's a grouped thing, and basically it can go either way. Or it goes basically saying these are all the items that were in the loop, and here are all the artifacts. And then there's the normal report that gives like the more detailed breakdown. So, and then you can view changes. And then there's this, so you can then view the report directly from the task. Like if you cleared this, you can then go back and you can view the report. And then there's the modal, and it's got the full breakdown of everything inside here. And no one will ever read any of this shit, but I thought it'd be cool, so I did it. Or I had Codex do it. But I think what we'll actually end up doing is, at a minimum, it'll be kind of like this, where it's just one big modal, and then there'll be like, it'll kind of be like this, and then there'll be the view change tab. And then this will be much more linear, but oh no, you're good. And don't worry, I definitely will tell you. I'm not scared to piss my one viewer off. It's fine. How do I feel about multi-window? For what? Like at the project level, at the report level, at the modal versus window? Is that what you're asking about, maybe? A pretty good story around it. You could have a free floating window for the current focused agent, indeed. So are you talking about on the roles tab? Or are you talking about on the Kanban tab? Because this is not how it's going to be. This is it. Just this is this is essentially a working wireframe. And then this will just all get skinned. Because what's going to happen, this goes into the whole, like, did a developer build it, or did a developer design it, or did a designer design it? This will be what the real experience is. So you'll have your architect, and that's really all that you really even need to interact with. You won't really see all of this. You'll be able to do everything that's here. You'll be able to do here, but so then these are just all the other agents, and you'll be able to like click in. If I go back to the round one stuff, I was playing around with it. Like you could expand upon one of the agents if you wanted to inspect it. So the idea is that you're just going to send stuff from the architect. It'll go into the workflow, and then it goes through all the agents. And then if you wanted to view the information, like what the hell is Oscar doing over here, you could click on it, and then it would go into something like this view. And then then you'd be able to see the last info. It would load up this CLI panel, and then you could scroll back through the stuff. So that's the idea. There's no you see other applications, and they've got 37 windows of CLIs. Why do you need that? Nobody needs that. Clicking into an agent would be a free window instead of a detail pane or a modal, though. You'd have multiple window agents open at once if you like an escape hatch for observability. Yeah, so it wasn't it was mainly going to be intended to just be like this, but I do see how there could be a need that you'd want to pop this out of the app itself. So like I want to open up Jim the Builder, and then I want to switch over to the Kanban view and then be able to see the output and the report or something like that. Like, so it's I think there is merit to that, but for the 90% of the time, you don't need to look at every single agent and what they're doing. I think it looks cool for thumbnails. Makes you feel like you're in the Matrix or something, but I just need to work with the architect. Like, that's my view. He can do all the multitasking. It adds everything to the queue system. It does all of that kind of stuff. I don't need to sit there and watch it do its thing. Personally. Oh. Helps me see the use case you have. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's really a tie to any specific use case, but it's just I also don't think it's very approachable. Like if I made this app and I said, "Hey wife, you're in marketing. Use my cool tool to help you do your job better." And I loaded it up and it was this, or maybe it was stacked into 2 rows. She's going to be like, no. And then just go load up the desktop app for Codex or whatever. But then she loses out on all the functionality that this then brings to the table. And now I've made this too big and I can't actually close the windows because I haven't built that piece of functionality in yet. There we go. So I want to make it's like, yeah, it's a tool for vibe coding, but it doesn't have to be for vibe coding. It could just be for doing stuff with agents and having it do a better thing. Produce a better quality product for less tokens. And be able to, have it has the built-in memory system, so you could keep going in between sessions and not lose context or instruction or anything. I mean, okay, so this sounds good. You fix some labels and a UI problem. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Keep going. I don't think that needed to be a slice, but okay. Thank you for keeping the CLI in app. The escape hatches of what is it doing are so important. How would keeping the CLI in app? Are you talking about being able to still see what they're doing versus it being in that tucked away mode? Is that what you're getting at? Because yeah, if that is, I agree. Like I didn't want, because one of these suggestions, I was having a problem. Yes, last night I think it was. With some task startup or task handoff. And it was like, oh well, if you're running it as a CLI, like as a visible terminal window, then you can't use these argument parameters to like inject the prompt on startup and run it. So you can't do that if you want it to be visible. So I suggest running it as a headless, and it was like, nope, fuck that. Yeah. The only downside, the one thing that it doesn't do is, say if you had 5 tasks, you would only be able to scroll the 5th task. because it quits every task whenever an agent's done. Whenever an agent's done, it just stops, and then whenever it gets a new task, it kills that agent and then starts it up again. So that's the only thing, but then that's just a fight, so you don't have to worry about context or running out of context space, and just saving on tokens and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the trade-off there. But as it's thinking, you could totally click on it and then it would start scrolling. But then as soon as that task is done, it's going to clear itself and move on to the next. You're still talking about labels. Come on, dude. Boom, boom. Yeah, and I mean that's also, I tried to make it a little bit simpler. So the whole point of the green and purples is to basically show the status of it. Because if they're tucked away, you don't have any sort of like, so these little green dots, or colored dots, I should say. They'll sit there and they'll pulse, and then they'll change between states. If it's purple, it's sitting idle. If it's green, it's running. Orange means it's asking you a question, like it needs permission or something like that. And red is obviously like something broke. Hopefully we don't see red too often. Need to fix that bug. One Python board test failed. The stoned Python. What up, big dog? Nothing, man. What's up, stoned Python? Is this like Python like code, or like are we talking slithery snake? We got some slithering going on? Like what are we talking about here? What's up with me? I'm having Codex tell me how much of a genius I am and how I'm always right and going in the right directions and trying to build out an app that maybe like 7 people will buy. Slytherin, got it. Gross. I hate snakes. It's like my biggest fear. But yeah, that's what we got going on. We got Tiki McFace over here giving us his poetic findings, poetic thoughts for the night. This is the one he gave us earlier, or at least he's claiming it as his. Brevity is the soul of wit versus pour your heart out. That's our comment of the day so far. Actually, shouldn't I be able to pin that? It's up there. I'll point it later. Maybe I'll do that next stream, or pinning comments. Okay, it's Mark Twain. My bad. As a young man from the South, I probably should have known that, but I told you I'm not super fancy. You, whoa, whoa there. Oh, say he wasn't even right. It's Shakespeare. Well, I'm still, my point still stands. I'm a young man from the South, and I wouldn't know Shakespeare. Okay. Create task now stores the default workflow node ID when the stage maps to the exactly. If multiple nodes share the same role and the task only knows the role, the system does not guess. It leaves the node identity generic until we introduce true node-based stage sequencing. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? What am I making? So long story short, it's an ADE, agentic development environment, but I would say it's actually closer to a harness more than it is to an ADE at this point anyway. Essentially it's an orchestration layer between agents. But I guess I probably should work on my elevator pitch. It basically allows the ability for you to do orchestration between different models, even from different vendors. So Codex can talk to Grok, which can then pass the task along to Claude, and eventually it could then pass it along to, like your local Hermes agent. And so basically it allows the models to run more efficiently, and you get better quality code because it's not just one agent doing all of the work. So I can run GPT-5.5 as my architect, and I can say, make me a website that says "Hello World," and it'll come up with a task with all the details that it needs, writes the prompt, and then it hands it over to Codex 5.3, so it'll run that much faster and that much cheaper, and it'll do that. And then I could set up, my QA agent as my local Hermes agent in the future. It's not done, so I can't do that yet. And then I could run free QA off of my machine, every night at 3 a.m. or something like that. And then it all goes into a Kanban system, and everything gets tracked, and that's how part of the handoff happens. So that's the whole point of the ADE. And then right now we're working on being able to visualize what the actual workflow is, and then be able to build a new one. So right now there's the architect. Like I said, it goes into queued, and then builders do it, then it tests it, then it QAs it, and it does a loop until all the tasks are complete, and then I get a report at the end. And so once this piece is done, then we could go in here and we could say, I want my workflow to just be one architect and 28 builders, and that's all that I want. Kind of, yeah, what you do with AI already. So instead of launching, so you could go in here and you can say, I want to add another builder. So right now it's an architect, a builder, a tester, and a QA. You could go in here and say, I want a second builder. And then if I had two tasks pending, it would do both tasks at the same time. And then I could have another workspace in the same project. Like say I'm working on front end development in this workspace, and then in this workspace I'm doing my branding. It could have a completely different workflow where I have like copywriters and designers and things like that. And then I could have another project open in another window entirely. Will it also be able to detect usage and switch models for varying efficiency levels? I think I have it on my on my to-do board as something to look into. I have looked into doing something like that. Um, a token optimization view. So, oh, no, that's not it. This one's done. There's that part is in there. For right now, it's going to be kind of up to the user to just know the efficiencies or the benefits to using certain models. But it's something that could happen in the future, yeah. It would have to be plugged into an API anyway, right? You can just pull that out of it. I think the difficult part would be making it dynamic. So the architect would have to take an educated guess at the task. Like if I'm just saying, hey, make me an MD file that has Elon Musk's birthday as the content, like let's run 5.3 across the board. Like let's just everything across every agent should be Hermes for that type of thing. But if I'm like, go make me a weather app, then for it to then know to switch gears to automatically reassign the models, that starts to get a lot more complicated. So I'm definitely going to put in a system that I'm going to try to put in a system that tracks token usage and how the system optimized it. Be like, you spent 2 million tokens, but you would have spent 4 million tokens had you done this by yourself, type of thing. Not all the CLIs give out the token usage, though. That's the problem. Probably state management complexity, but state machines are... No, I mean, if you got some ideas, I'd love to hear them. Put them in the chat, man. I am not a developer. I was a creative director for like 15 years. So I'm really good at bossing around developers and telling them to suck it up and to do it, which is why I'm really good at telling Codex what to do. And then it does stuff and I just think that it's right. So Tiki here, he'll tell you that I'm an idiot and I don't actually know what the hell I'm doing. He asked me if I had anything as far as what was it, XCUI testing, and I was like, I don't even know what that means, man. My first thought is that instead of waiting for a model to finish, run them parallel based off a confidence score. So they can run in parallel. Everything is based off work trees. So if you had multiple tasks, it could run in parallel. It just can't do... I think I know what you're trying to say, but it wouldn't be able to do like the testing and the QA at the same time. It can do parallel workflows, but it can't do parallel stages, I guess. Be if you had 2 QA agents, you could do 2 rounds of QA at the same time. But yeah. Multiple nodes share the same role, and the task only knows the role of the system does not guess, at least until we introduce true node-based stage sequencing. What does that mean? I'm just collecting stuff for my expos later. Old Slytherin's over here, confident for a good solution. I think there would be a good solution, but I would also... the problem I think that we would run into, I would run into, Claude or Codex would run into, let's be honest, isn't that could or could it not be done? It's like how could we implement that in a way that is universal? Um, so like in this typical dev workflow of developer testing, QA, and then an ops manager um for Git stuff. We could probably implement what you're talking about, but then if I made another workflow that was design based or that was marketing based or something like that, like how would we implement that in a way that made sense from a universal point of view? I am 100% relying on AI. I have written 0 lines of code. Don't vibe code or anything typically, just experimenting with it, building a state machine has produced some unreliable results. Um, I don't know, get good. Prompt better. No, I don't know. I'm such a jackass. Um, I I would say the best thing to do would be to just take smaller chunks. Um, if you're just like, hey, go make me a weather app, and then you just try to one shot it, like, yeah, it's gonna be complete garbage, I think. But if you're just like, okay, now let's add the forecasting system, and then you even broke that down, like that, that's you got to break it down into chunks, just like you would a normal sprint, dev sprint. But yeah, it's not going to be 100% perfect for sure. I think it also depends on like what language you're coding in. I have a friend who's been doing he's he's getting into vibe coding as much as he doesn't want to say that he's getting into vibe coding, and he does a lot of stuff in, I think it's called Elixir. Like I guess he it's a very like very specialized language. Um like there's not a ton of developers out there that are good in it. So that's why he makes bank. I think it's called Elixir. I could be wrong. He sent me a screenshot of what he was working on last night. Let me look it up. Not to be that dude on his phone while he's streaming, but still runs as a single Elixir release, blah 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 blah. And then they talk over Erlang distribution. No scheduler, no control pane, no containers. I don't know what half that shit means, but and anyway, so the point of that story was he's using vibe coding to help him do some Elixir stuff, and it's not as good because he was also doing some vibe coding with like Python, and it was a lot. He was getting he was getting a lot better results whenever he was just coding Python, or obviously like just an HTML site or something like that. But for Elixir, like it's kind of mixed results. Okay, I've been staring at this thing. Complete role work. Yeah, this sounds. I still don't know what you did because this whole sentence here sounds really fucked up. Okay, yeah, sure, that sounds good. Move on to the next slice. Never used it, but you want to. So what do you use Elixir for? He's like one of my best friends, and I have no idea what he actually does besides make a shit ton of money. I know it's something to do with environmental stuff. Or at least that's what he's using it for anyway. The next slice is a let workflow definition expose a node sequence alongside the existing roll stage sequence. I'm going to keep test clean. Kind of like Java in that it runs in a VM. Okay. Yeah, I knew it was highly specialized. He was like, I don't really have to worry about getting fired because it'll take them 2 years to find another senior Elixir developer. I was like, okay, bud, keep making that fat Austin money. No, he's his daytime job, he uses it and they use it for the work that they do. And he's not vibe coding for his day job stuff. He's vibe coding at home and like testing it out. He leads their development teams. And so he's looking at ways to like implement vibe coded tools to help them do it, or help them do things like pull requests, approvals and things like that. He's been doing it for like 20 years. Yeah, he was the weird kid when we were in college, and he was just like, I'm doing Elixir, and people were like, okay, bro, I'm over here and I'm using jQuery. No, we were doing JavaScript. jQuery came later. Older than that. "14 mining engineering programs in the country." Holy shit. Mining engineering. That definitely sounds like some highly specialized shit. Building out mining operations. Oh, okay. So they just play Minecraft all day. Easy peasy. Air filtration, gas moves. Jesus. I feel like they could break some of that out. Like, it's kind of like when I was in college, I worked for an architectural firm, and we did a whole bunch of GPS, GIS, data stuff. It's not like you're gonna have the architect themselves go out and collect GIS data information and like do the the surveying themselves. Like, they're gonna have someone go out and do that stuff, and then they'll bring them back, and then they'll do the architectural drawings off of that. So it seems weird that they have to do all of that stuff. But I mean, I guess maybe. Beats out mechanical engineering. I don't know. I think mechanical engineering would be pretty cool. I could definitely see how it would suck, but I don't know. I think mechanical engineering would be pretty cool. If you got to actually build stuff, if you just had to like sit there and like run simulations all day long, like that would be boring. But because it creates thinking and programming terms dependency issues. Mm. Hmm. Well, that's because you wouldn't do it that way. You'd have the designer give it to the front end, and then the front end would give it to the back end, and then say, "Hey, go hook all this up." Let's just do it in the right order. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. So would it be the same role? Like you said mining operations, but would it be the same thing for like natural gas and oil and all that type of stuff, as well as like raw ore, like lithium and all that kind of stuff would be the same in the same realm? Like could you go across all of those different industries? Obviously, I would assume you need to be specialized in one of them, but mm-mm-mm. Do they have to be oh yeah, 100%. I mean, even just I'm thinking even from like a like corporate mining point of view on the insurance side of things for an operation, like I'm sure that's one of those things that like they just gotta you have to have it type of thing. Say that again. Like from a corporate uh like whenever you sign a deal from a corporate like insurance point of view, like as a requirement, kind of like a okay, yeah, kind of like a legal or almost like an HR type position where it's just something that you have to have like on site to deal with all that type of stuff. It's not something that they can like pick up and like you have to okay, I see you in the morning type of thing. You got to be there when they need you. Loop groups now include both roles, nodes, even parts. Oh, he does work remote. Okay, interesting. Does he have to be there like on site maybe whenever they're doing when they're kicking off operations? Hmm. Completion keeps current stage equals. Okay, I understand what this is saying. I don't know how you coded it, but I understand what you're telling me. I can see how that would be like a sweet deal. Could be a sweet deal. I could also see how it would be stressful. Yeah. You got a multi-billion-dollar operation basically resting on your shoulders. And if it's really that like precise, then like it's not like they probably or that scarce. Like they don't have a whole team behind them like supporting them. Probably. Yep. Yep. Should make claimed work carry the node identity forward, not just board cards. Otherwise, a ping. No, I don't want to think about that. I feel like that's a good way of like finding yourself inside of a duffel bag type of thing if something was to go wrong. Like, yes, you're responsible and people got hurt, but now you've got some powerful people coming after you. I don't think I want that. Verify a claimed same role mode arrives as designer or copywriter, not just raw worker. So this should be picking up custom agent MD files. See, as a designer, I don't really have those worries. So the biggest thing is like my niche or my bread and butter was e-commerce and conversion optimization, all that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing I had to worry about was things like how well Black Friday went and making sure shareholders were happy. But it wasn't for me. I was just the service vendor. Yes, exactly. Because I'm a genius. Okay, next slice. Can you please take bigger slices? This is me getting pissed off. This is taking too long. Main launch config, claim kickoff, complete fail artifact policies, editor surfacing checklist. Okay. You're making a crime life sim. See. Crime life sim. Is that like Clue? I don't know what a crime. Yeah, if you got a well, if it's in C4 Plus, how do you share it? I ain't downloading that. I don't know you. You're not my dad. How you gonna show that off, bro? You got a post on Reddit or something? Okay, let's keep going. I hear Dwarf Fortress and I listen. That's funny. I'll show you the main menu IA for the official version so far. Okay, let's see this. If this has got like a dick at the end of it, I'm gonna ban you. I like the vibe. Okay, and then you sent another one. Here's the main prototype. Negotiate truce? No, get that shit out of here. So is this the... Okay, so maybe this is what you're saying, that this is all the prototype. It's kind of like my ugly ass app. It's still the prototype. So this isn't what the final UI will be. Like this is super overload as far as where to actually... Okay, proof of concept. Because I was like, I don't even know what to look at. So how you said it was... What did you say? King and Dwarf Fortress? Crusader Kings and Dwarf Fortress, but then that was like noir music and like dudes in a trench coat, like Dick Tracy stuff. So, am I an idiot? I could be. Okay. Oh, that's... Sorry. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Do this through complex social relationship systems, internal politics systems, and a complex justice system. I feel like that's the intro to... Was it Law and Order? Systems on system. Isn't that... Okay, I get you. I see. So, yeah. What's that game? Like, you could kind of say that, like, what is it? Oh, fuck. Not Arma. It's another game that starts with an A. It's a bunch of islands. Like it just came out, and you like have to like go up through all the ranks of like the people. It's systems on systems on systems like that, and there's like trading and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it seems like it's much more simplified. Anno, yes, Anno. Is that kind of like Anno then? Is that what you're kind of? I mean, that's more, I guess, like isometric down, and then that clip kind of was more not FPS, but much more complex. Okay. I'm a simple dude. I like shooting games where I can talk shit on 12-year-olds. I haven't played video games in like 2 months. Basically, since I started this project, I haven't played video games. I played video games once, like last week, for like 2 hours. And that was only because I ran out of my weekly window. I used my entire window and I didn't have anything else to do. Invest the universe. Got it. Oh, invent. Yeah, I do a lot. I play like Arma Reforger or what's the other game? Gray Zone. Or I play like Satisfactory. He's more sodas in, quote unquote. Great period in life with Arma 2. Ooh, buddy. I didn't play much Arma 2. I definitely played the shit out of Arma 3. And then I've definitely put in a shitload of hours into Arma Reforger. Modded. Anyway. French contains the earlier word. And drop Swift board focus set is green. Okay. JSON hardening slice. Makes product sense. If we do the back end only slices too long, we risk building a technically complete shape that feels wrong once it's stored. Okay. So yeah, basically I'm a genius and I was right. Suggested next slice, update the drawer tile to match all of that. Worker, reviewer, reporter. Maybe operator as disabled coming soon. I don't know what that. Oh, operator. Got it. Make placed cards display locked metadata, label node, type, persona, scope. Make generate JSON include the same new blah 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 blah. Add a locked visual state for metadata field, so it's obvious this is not edible yet. Do not touch, drag and drop, target, shuffle mechanics. Send it. So this will make sure that there is a visual representation for the loop as well, which is currently represented by the container. Just make sure that the loop is considered as well. Oh, no worries, man. I got I was reading that last slice, and then we made a decision to interject a different one here just to make it something visual versus all backend that I can't actually test. If this comes back and it's right, then I'll probably end the stream there. It's 10 o'clock, so yeah, I gotta make sure that it visually looks right, because if we're building this whole thing, like it said, it was like we could get it right, but then if it doesn't match what the product is supposed to do, then what's the point? Hey, Python, was the music that was in that first video, was that licensed or like real music, or was that AI generated? Public domain, trademark clear. I mean, I'm not worried about from a stream point of view. I just wondered if that was something real music. Are you going to use like AI for sound effects and all that kind of stuff, or just strictly keep it public domain type sound? Are you gonna like put this on Steam, or what's the end goal here? Or is this gonna be, well, it's C++, so I mean, I guess it could be a Epic where, okay, but it won't be like a app store or anything like that, right? Like strictly desktop based. PC game makes sense. This is going to be a massive loop of testing, of end-to-end testing. This is probably what Tiki was talking about when he was talking about XUI tests. Because I asked it if it's something about Playwright. I am planning on adding accessibility to it. A, as a selling feature, and B, if I add the accessibility thing, it makes it makes it easier for end-to-end testing. So I'm gonna add that stuff. Yeah, for reals. I feel like I never would want to make a whole game, but like the create mod for Minecraft, like I could totally see myself like nerding out and building a mod like that. Something with like limited scope, but also very complex and full of systems. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean, a big part of my job used to be about, ADA compliance and stuff like that when it came to, basic things like color contrasts and things like that. But I feel like that's an interesting niche to cover, as well as just by implementing, like I said, it'll be easier to do end-to-end automate end-to-end testing. Because if a user can do it without having to move the mouse around and do all the clicking, then I can automate it fairly easily. That, and I am going to add a voice control to this thing. Because so right now I'm using X to type everything for me. I don't know where that actually went. I'm using Hex for voice to text, and it uses Parakeet, and so it's open source, it's MIT licensable, so I'll probably end up forking it and then including it baked into the app, and then I'll be able to use it to control everything. Porter's persona will render as changelog instead of... Who knows? Maybe I'll get a deal with Neuralink, and Elon will tweet everything out. That'd be cool. Okay, so this says it's done. How much did it shit all over this? Brain chips are coming, dude. They're here for sure. I mean, it's not... Copy JSON. So attached is the JSON from the text field underneath the workflow columns. Is this actually what is being generated? A, by the columns, and B, what the system will be reading, or is this still the old schema? I wish I could be alive to live in the time where a game like... Wish I could be alive to live in the time where a game like Cyberpunk is a Star Wars, the Star Wars 5 of today or 4 of today. What do you mean? You've had too many sodas, Tiki. I think we're gonna get there real quick. Yes, this is being generated from the columns. Container 1 in progress becomes task level loop builder. This is not yet exactly what the system will read as a runtime workflow file right now. This is a preview hybrid schema. It contains the useful runtime pieces, but also visual editor only pieces. I think the first step, Tiki, is going to be Optimus comes online. Normal people who aren't disabled get Neuralinks, and then we're able to control Optimus through Neuralink. And I give that I'll say that by the end of the decade. What tech will be like in 100, 200, 500 years. Yeah. I just want to be able to ride on a spaceship. Just like I can ride on a plane, I want to be able to ride in a spaceship. Like, we didn't even get the ability to, like, I'm 41 and we didn't get the ability to fly on Concorde. Like, that would be the closest thing that we could do today. I want to get that back. Like, even if I'm not flying on a spaceship to another planet, like to the moon or something, at least let me get to the other side of the planet in 45 minutes. Okay. Okay, understood. We just need to make sure that we update this from container to loop. The whole idea of container isn't really a thing. It's just loop. So I guess loops and user actions or user gates don't really have the same 3 levels as the other agent roles. I mean, you think about it, like, we are allegedly probably a year out from unsupervised FSD. So, I mean, that'll be a huge deal. I love our FSD and our Tesla. Full self-driving. Unsupervised full self-driving. Right now it's just supervised full self-driving. But like the wife and I just went on a trip, and I did a bunch of work. It was like it was probably 12 hours of being up on my feet, walking around in 85-degree weather, working all day. And then we hopped in the Tesla. Well, actually, then we went to an after party, drank bunch of beer and mingled for like 2 or 3 hours, and then left at like 10 o'clock at night and had it drive us all the way home for 9 hours, and it was fine. That's what is the 747 Max or 737 Max, whatever? Yeah. I mean, yeah, you think about that, but then there was the Boeing, what is it, Starliner that like stranded astronauts in space. Like, no, I get you, but I totally trust the FSD, like 100%. Except when it comes to parking, it doesn't understand. It understands that it is an empty parking spot, but for some reason it doesn't understand that it's a handicap. Like it can't read the handicap sign that's in front of it or painted on the ground. I don't get it. It's really stupid, and it can't pull into my driveway. I left the internal app kit drag drop implementation names like .container alone, as they were just mechanics that avoids risking the drive prop. Well, so go ahead and look through all of the app kit code and update the .container to .loop, just so that we're consistent across the board. Python, we were talking about 2077 and like how close we are, and then we were talking about like FSD and how I just used it a couple weeks ago to work a 12-hour day and then have a few beers at an after party and then have it drove me home 9 hours, where I was like falling in and out of sleep as it was driving us home through the night. And I was just saying, like, FSD, I totally I trust it 100%, except for like parking and stuff like that. And then Tiki's talking about like how much vibe coding there is in like the Boeing Max line. And it's just like how you were saying earlier, like how can people trust vibe code, because it just puts out garbage. So yeah, now you're up to speed. Okay, guys, I think I got instantly sleepy. I'm gonna let this prompt finish. I'm gonna have it generate me the prompt for the next session, and then I'm gonna call it a night. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Python, thanks for coming in. To see you on future ones. Tiki, don't get too drunk. And yeah, like and subscribe on YouTube. Anyway, yep.